Welcome to episode 61 of Ring Talk, the weekly Goodwin boxing show with myself, Martin Theobald, and with me, Steve Goodwin. Always, we've got a bike to the side of us. I'm going to bring it in as a backdrop. No context to it. I'm just going to bring it in. How are you, Steve?
Yeah, no, I'm good.
Bank holiday weekend?
Yeah, we've all had good weekends in different ways. You went out with the family, haven't you?
Yeah, I had a lovely time with the family.
I've had a good break, and no, it's all good. We're all back.
You stayed up for the
Canelo fight.
It's beyond me now. I watched it in the morning.
I sort of find it hard to watch delayed. I find it really hard to watch a delayed sport. I liked to do it when the results not known. I did think it was a good enough fight to sit up and watch for, but the undercard was quite good. That was quite an enjoyable card, to be honest. From the bits I saw. But yeah, no.
British involvement, John Ryder.
Yeah, done well, didn't he? I'm not sure the quality of his opponent, to be honest, but
didn't know anything about him.
No, I think when you look back at it, it probably wasn't very similar to Richard Commey's quality when Richard Commey won the world title. It wasn't the greatest opponent, but I thought he'd done it very well, and it was really nice to see that he looked fairly done, didn't he? Because I remember going to watch him at Olympia, and Eddie Hearn was his promoter. Nobody from Matchroom even went to bother to watch him because he was in the opposite corner that day, and he was just there with Sims in the corner, and you could see that nobody cared about him anymore. Yeah, but he's actually bounced back, and now he's loved again.
Yeah. What they do with him though, I'm not sure. The Callum Smith fight's there, but it might be a good first defence for Callum Smith, in that it's a name that British fans are aware of. But it's not a close fight, is it really?
No, but again, he'll get his opportunity, and match from there that he's forced his way back in, and he'll get a good payday, and that so I think he deserves his payday. But no, being realistic, he's not true world class, is he? Yeah. But he's a good fighter, John, and he's come up through small halls. He's come up the hard way, and he's had a situation where even his promoter didn't care about him for a while, and he's got back into the thing. So full credit, because they thought he was finished. They thought he was finished. He was fed as an opponent to Nielsen at Wembley, wasn't he? Yeah. And he basically managed to force himself back in. So absolute full credit, John.
Good on him. Before we go any further, subscribe.
Yeah, that's really important. We're about 200 away now, being able to generate money so people can get it. But we are picking up, not as fast as I'd like to, but if you are watching this and you haven't subscribed, please do.
Yeah. And boxers, trainers, anyone, send me your sponsors. I can mention. Nobody did last week.
Bizarre.
It's not one. Not one. So I have no sponsors to mention. If you're watching this, you've got sponsors. Just crazy. Get them a mention.
It's crazy.
Get them seen by a few hundred people. Easy work.
Yeah, exactly. But there we go.
Yes. Before we go on, you've got your inaugural boxing awards that are coming together.
Yeah, we
lots
just
of names.
Yeah, we've done. It's on 26th of July. We've got really good entertainment. It's boxing awards with different. I go to the boxing awards in London. It is all. I mean, you've been to them. They're formal. They're very formal. This is a much more of an informal get together for our boxers, trainers, people that are involved, people that we owe a thank you to. And we've laid on lots of entertainment and singers and some well known, and it's going to be a really, really good night. So we know we're already, there's a lot more people want to go than I thought there would. Because I spoke upstairs, so
slightly overnumbered it, but we'll sort that out. But it's going to be a great night, so we're looking forward to that in July. Yeah, excellent. So a couple of new signings this week.
Yeah, we've signed Jake Spring, who's 1-0, really good amateur. He's trained by his dad Gary down in Kent, and he's a really, really talented kid. And he had his win, I think it was 4 years ago. Took a break, and now he's back, and he's 25 now. He's refocused, and his gym mate Jack Watson, a really good amateur once again, won lots of titles, and he's turned over at the same time with him. So we're looking forward to exciting times and building them.
So when will they look to come
September.
out? Okay.
That'll be September, and but they'll both be really exciting and both capable of winning at a high level. Yeah. So really excited with those two. There's a lot of others that are going through at the moment as well, but can't really announce them yet. But and we've got 6 new boxers to see in a few weeks' time.
So it's not slowing down.
It's not slowing down. It depends on when a boxer turns professional. It depends on whether you want to go with an organisation that, I think it's a term that I'm stealing this from somebody else, but it's whether you want to sign with an organisation that builds the boxers' careers or builds shows.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really, really good analogy of what we do. And we build careers, and other people build shows.
Yeah.
And it's important to put the career ahead of the show. Although you still want good shows at the end, but I don't want to put fights on the wrong fights for a career just to satisfy a good show, because that's not really help a boxer's longevity. And I think I try and ensure the boxers understand the difference.
And you would hope that a good show is a byproduct of building good careers.
Correct, but that's what you've got to do. My job as a manager is to build the career first, and the shows take care of themselves. Whichever shows my boxers fight on, I don't care. But it's not about building shows and irrelevant to whether it's the right fight for the career. And that's what we try to do. So that's why I think we're signing a lot, because a lot of boxers appreciate that's what we do. So there's a lot of exciting times ahead, and we're signing some very, very good quality boxers, and the phone doesn't stop ringing, so it's good.
All right. And speaking of fights for shows, a couple of new ones signed off.
Yeah, we got Daniel Mendes will be defending his Southern Area Cruiserweight title against Nick Parpa.
Yeah.
And
First defence.
But do you know something? I mean, Daniel Mendes was sensational against Eddie Cousins. I've got to say, I thought he was unbelievable. His movement was fantastic. His shot selection was fantastic, and it showed to me that Daniel Mendes can fight at a higher level.
Yeah.
The Southern Area. Nick Parpa has only had one reversal against a guy called Vasyl Dukar. Do you know where Vasyl Dukar's fighting next?
No.
Fight for the world title.
What world title?
The IBO. He's fighting for the world cruiserweight IBO title against a good kid. He's now amassed loads of wins against either and do you remember that? I don't know if he was there. Nick was beaten.
I was there.
Nick was winning that fight until he walked onto a shot.
Yeah, the guy that I won't try and pronounce his name just bounced off the ropes, didn't he? Just bounced off and just massive overhand right that caught Nick square, and it was a heavy knockout.
But he's now ranked in a few of the bodies, Vasyl Dukar.
Good on him.
Yeah, but that's the only person Nick's lost to. Yeah. So Nick, Nick was actually bossing that fight. So we don't know how good Nick Parpa is yet. But I mean, Nick wants to find out how good he is. Daniel wants to find out if he can move up to the next level. So it's a really good fight for both of them in their career progression. It makes perfect sense for both.
I think at the time, those kind of knockouts that Nick had, you kind of think, I'm not sure we're going to see him in a ring again. Not because of health or anything like that, just that must take a lot out of a fighter, the confidence element. It's a huge credit to Nick that he's rebuilt himself after that, come back and taken those fights and got himself into a position to fight for the title. Because a lot of people wouldn't have had that mental capacity to be able to do that.
And he has, so full credit to him.
Yeah.
And I think it's the right fight for both. I mean, I'm sure that if Daniel was victorious, he would want to move on to some of the more sexier names and titles in the cruiserweight division. And for Nick, if he was able to win, then he would then be able to build up to the next level. And I just think it's a really sensible fight for both.
God, that's going to be like some muscle on show that night, isn't there? I'm not really into men with muscles and that, but those two blokes look like machines.
But they're full credit, aren't they? They're both really, they train very hard, they get their body in such good shape, and they deserve credit for that.
So aesthetically they look a lot like boxers. You don't always see that within all levels of boxing, but those two look, when they get into the ring, that will be, It's
a great fight for them, and so that's one. And there's another one that we've done, but we're waiting for board approval on that.
Okay.
But hopefully we'll be able to announce next week, and that is a really good fight as well for one of our up and coming fighters. So we try and pick the right fights as and when they're right. But we're waiting for that to come through. But we've got a lot of fighters now at championship level coming through to championship level at levels even higher than Southern Area. We've got lots of people working down the English route as well. We've got 2 purse bids due this week.
Which ones?
K Prosper Sam Maison, that's due out this week, and the Dion June Isaac Chamberlain thing. Isaac hasn't withdrawn as of now.
Okay.
So you'd hope if he's not going to go through, he's going to withdraw. Because he's done this before when he fought Waddy Camacho, he pulled out after the purse bid and got a warning and a fine, and you hope he's not going to go down the same road again, because I'm sure they wouldn't see it. They wouldn't be very happy if he did it a second time. He's got a history of doing this.
So without giving too much away, will you bid for both?
We've got to make a decision by tomorrow.
Okay.
So we're going to make a decision how we're going to play both tomorrow.
Yeah. Have you had conversations with Ryan Rhodes and Sam Amaze on their team?
Ryan made an offer.
Right.
And at this particular stage, I haven't met Kay yet. Kay didn't want to take that offer, but we have until Thursday to take that offer. But yeah, that's all we can go a different route. But I'm meeting Kay. We're recording this on Tuesday morning, and I'm meeting Kay later on today to see where we sit on it. But Ryan's made an offer, so we may or may not accept it. We may or may not go to purse bids. It's up to Kay to decide what he wants to do. So we're going to have that meeting. And the Dion Juma Isaac Chamberlain situation, I'm sure there will be a purse bid, whether it's ours or somebody else's, there will be a purse bid in.
Yeah, just whether that fight happens, comes off. There's a question about it later, so we'll come on to it then. Yeah, okay, so when's the Parpa Mendes fight?
July the 6th, at your call. That's going to headline that show, and there's potentially another really cracking support fight to go on to that show as well.
And so the other fights you've got coming up, or the main headline fights
for June the 8th, we've got Brad Pauls against Dan Cardona.
Yeah.
And on the 29th, we've got Sean Robinson defending his title against John Brennan, and then the final eliminator for that same title with Dean Richardson taking on Nathan Graham, former Southern Area champion. They're good fights.
They are. Pauls Cardona, it's only a month away now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, get training, lads.
Yeah, Brad's really going for it, isn't he? He said he's never been more motivated.
Yeah.
Because he had a spot in Ultimate Box, as you know, this week on Friday, and he couldn't do that date, but he's more than happy with going for the Southern Area than going down the Ultimate Boxer route.
Yeah.
And we can always discuss that another time, but I've sort of, it's not the same as Prize Fighter was. Prize Fighter was a lot more money with a lot of different responsibilities on the box, and so for me, Prize Fighter was obviously a lot more money and a lot more exposure and a lot more reward for the winner going forward. So Ultimate Boxer it's okay for certain boxers, but I don't think it's for a Prize Fighter any boxer would definitely go in there without a heartbeat.
Yeah.
With Ultimate Boxer, it works for some.
Yeah. I think when you look at Chris Jenkins when he won it, I know Dave Evans, I think we watch it, always recounts a story of when Chris Jenkins won Prize Fighter. He turned up, I think he'd sold about 2 tickets for the entire event.
Yeah.
You got some lad who's done 200. I don't think the Hearns were too happy that Jenkins walked away.
By winning it, yeah. But you never had in that particular arrangement, boxers were not, they wanted them to sell, but it wasn't a precondition.
Yeah.
So the Chris Jenkins would not get into Ultimate Boxer.
Yeah.
And so therefore that's, so it is to a certain extent, 3 rounds anything can happen, not the best fighters win. And so some fighters I think for some fighters it makes really good sense, and others it doesn't. It's a simple thing, really.
On paper, Grant Dennis should walk that, shouldn't he?
No, not on paper, because
do you not think
10 round? Look, he's the best fighter in it. Grant
That's
Dennis,
what I say on paper.
but historically, show me a 10-round championship fighter that wins.
That does well.
That does well at the lot, other than heavyweight. Forget heavyweight. That wins.
Yeah.
You don't find 10-round championship fighters win it. So based on that. The only other championship fighter in there is Taylor Jones, and Grant's in there. So historically, they are at a disadvantage. People that have gone 10 rounds find it much more difficult to adapt round back to the 3-round format.
Yeah.
But if you said to me who's the best fighter in here, there's no competition. Grant Dennis is by far and away the best fighter in that competition. He's not favourite. The favourite is Kieran Conway.
Okay.
And then Grant Dennis is second favourite. Taylor Jones is third favourite. And then the others are behind. There's a few there that I don't think can win. But I feel that there's a few that can't win, but it's not my tournament, and I don't want to be passing comment or saying which ones can't win. That's really unfair to those boxers who are trying their best to win it. But I have my ideas who's going to win it.
Right. Find out.
But I think it's a good lineup.
Yeah,
a lot of fighters are putting a lot of their things, their situation on the line. So good luck to them all who are fighting in it, and may the best one win.
Yeah. All right, move on to some questions.
Okay.
Got some questions. We'll start off with lead right on Twitter. I've got it organised on my phone this week.
Oh, well done.
Spend 20
well
seconds.
Done.
I know. Check me out. Shelley Finkel said you make an offer. If the offer is accepted, then the contract follows. There's always an offer made first. There is no reason to send a contract if it's not accepted. You aren't bound to a deal after accepting an offer. Is that the case in the UK?
Yes. 100% spot on.
So I know you've had texts before any contract comes along. You've had texts and phone calls with other promoters. None of that is legally binding until you get that contract signed.
Yeah, but I wouldn't expect a contract to come until I verbally agreed a financial deal and a financial arrangement. So it's exactly what he says how it is. So I might do a deal for a fight to fight somebody, and they make an offer, and the offer's not good enough, so I refuse it. So why would I be getting a contract at that point? I would then agree a contract and terms, and then a contract's issued. Sometimes when you get a contract, and I've dealt with various promoters on this, you read the contract and you say, that's not what I agreed.
You had one only recently.
Yeah, that's not what I agreed exactly. So it has to go. So you have that often, and you're doing these are pretty much championship fights all the time. So then you go back again and you have to get it redone. But generally, you want the contract to come through in the format, you then sign it, everybody signs it, and they countersign it. But no contract is ever issued until there's been an actual agreement as to the terms. Then what may then happen is the contract comes through, and you think, there's three options. There's this defence against this person, and you think, well, I'm not agreeing to that, and it has to go backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards.
Yeah.
But yeah, you only start with the contract once you've agreed the money and the basic agreement.
Yeah.
So what he says is spot on. I don't know who. The strange thing about the question is, I don't know why that would be a question, because I thought that was common practice. So I don't know who would be contradicting that.
Yeah, what's the context around
it? Because
Fill me in, Rico.
It's like a no-brainer answer that, and yet he's a very intelligent man. So
there must be
something behind the question.
Yeah.
Follow me. So I'd like to know who said that that's not the case.
Yeah. I wonder, does it relate back to the whole Joshua Wilder thing? But I hope it doesn't. I can't bother with that.
I'm so bored of it now.
Yeah, I quite like the fact it's disappeared for a while, and fuck it, a man who looks worse than me in a ring is going to fight Joshua. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Good luck to him.
He's getting well paid, I'm sure.
I'm sure he is. Good luck to him entirely. I don't mind it at all. Don't get me wrong, I only care about Joshua versus Wilder or Fury, and change those names around, maybe put White in there. Outside of that, I don't care. Let Usyk make his heavyweight debut. As long as he looks good or great, put him into that mix. But outside of that, don't care.
No, that's fair.
Ali on Twitter. Did you manage to reach an agreement about K Prosper's rematch, or will you be going to purse bids on Wednesday? Assuming I'll get a better answer.
Well, I've covered it already, and again, you'll know for sure next week.
Yeah. Daniel Smith on Twitter. Still trying to get me a date before you're going to come to your show. Fighters used to get 60, 70, 80 plus career fights, but now it's generally less, with most big names fighting once or twice a year. Is it solely fighters earn a lot more nowadays, so don't have to fight as often, or do you think there are other reasons?
I definitely think they are earning more, there's no doubt. I mean, some of the bigger fights, they earn absolute fortunes, don't they? But I think that the intensity of training is probably a hell of a lot more than it used to be. They do a lot more, don't they? Strength and conditioning, and I think they put their bodies through a lot. Yeah. So I think they have to. I would imagine if you put a boxer in today and a boxer of 30, 40 years ago, the boxer today would be so much fitter, faster, stronger than the same equivalent person of 30, 40 years ago. So I think they have to put so much more into it. They can't go to the well so often. Yeah. So I think it's a combination between money and also the fact that they can't put their bodies through it. If you're building up from the start, then you can fight every month. If you don't want to do tickets every month, because your body's not being subjected to the same rigmarole, all the way through. You don't need to prepare for a 4-round or 6-round like you do a 10 or 12 rounder.
I always find it fascinating. Someone like Spencer Field, who, and I'm not a historian particularly about boxing. I don't go back and watch 1930s footage. It's just not for me. But boxing generally, somebody like Spencer Finn would tell you that the greats of the 1950s and 1960s were just better than what's around now. So, you know, Rocky Marciano would beat Anthony Joshua, no problem. Which, fair enough, like, I don't have the knowledge to go back and argue that point particularly, but I always find it weird that boxing seems to be this isolated sport that people who want to talk about the olden days, it's the only sport where it doesn't seem to be that the modern sciences and things seem to have benefited the athletes and the competitors as much.
Well, I just don't agree with him. I just think, look, you look at any sport, football, look at the pace they played in the 50s, 60s, 70s. I think, listen, the problem is Spencer's a historian, right? So consequently, he wants that to be the case. We can refer back to all this sort of stuff, but it's irrelevant now. It's all in the past. You don't need historians saying stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because, to be honest, I don't believe it to be true. Yeah. And I don't believe anybody realistically would say that the specimens of what they were and the physical bodies that they had, they wouldn't be big enough, fast enough, have enough stamina, because it's all like they did 20 odd rounds then, but they were doing 20 rounds at a much slower pace than these boxers. Now, these are athletes, same as any sport, football, tennis. You're not going to put tennis players of 1970s at Wimbledon
with a wooden racket.
You're not going to put Bjorn Borg in. You're not going to put Bjorn Borg in with Djokovic to the best Djokovic, or whatever it is, or the other, whatever it is,
Federer, Nadal.
No chance. Yeah. No chance. He's going to be too slow because they're not the same. And it's the same with boxing. And to go and say somebody in the 1950s and 60s are better, they're not better. They're not better athletes. They're not. They wouldn't win.
Yeah. No, I always think
can't prove it though. But
yeah. I don't really go back and watch that footage, but it seems to be this accepted norm within certain areas of boxing that older fighters are better than modern fighters. I think every other sport is the opposite. Every other sport.
It cannot.
Rugby.
It cannot be rugby. You can't measure. People can make claims people can make claims in life about anything. It cannot ever be disproved. So what's the point? It's just. But there's no way on earth. It just doesn't make any logical sense.
I'm going to start claiming I'd have been a world heavyweight champion in the 20s. Prove me wrong, Theron. Prove me wrong.
Why not?
Yeah, you can't prove I wouldn't.
It's true, isn't it? I mean, you could take Dylan White now and say, and I believe you put him in the 50s or 60s, he'd have been undisputed champion. I believe Dylan White would have been undisputed heavyweight champion in the 50s or 60s. He'd have been too fast, too strong, too powerful, and Dylan White would have beaten them all.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't disagree. Anyway, Boxing Madman on Twitter. Thoughts on my top 10 heavyweights?
I've seen this.
One, I don't know if he's taking the piss here.
I thought he was having a laugh, isn't he?
I didn't read the names until
Joshua number one. I've
one Joshua, cool.
You can't have Dylan White number two.
Two White? I don't know if these are in order or not.
Well, I presume they're in order, but let's just dispel it on number two.
Three Pulev. Okay, 4 Fury, 5 Adam Kanaki, 6 Wilder, 7 Parker, 8. I mean, the rest of the top 10, Parker, Brazil, Povetkin, Ortiz, fine. Like, they're all interchangeable names that aren't as good as Joshua.
You can't. Let's be honest. Again, Dylan White has had life and death with Derek Chisora when he thought he lost, and in the second fight he was behind and pulled out with one punch. Okay. So he won by one. I'm not sure he won the first one. Come on. That doesn't. He knocked out Lucas Brown, who Dave Allen knocked out. Okay. Quicker. He did stop Joseph Parker. He did beat Joseph Parker, but was in all sorts of trouble in the last round. Dylan White is a success story for boxing and a success story for himself. But to claim
he's fun to watch.
And I like watching Dylan White fights. But to claim he's number 2 in the world. No.
Yeah.
So the rest of it is. But I stopped at number 2 because I just thought no.
But even if you'd have got past that, Pulev at 3.
No, it's
like
not.
How can you've got to have Joshua, Wilder, Fury. Whatever order you want them in is up to you. But those 3 have to be the top 3.
They're ahead of the game.
And then after that,
you can then put in the yeah. No, I agree totally. They are top 3 at the moment. You can't put Kanaki and Pulev above any of them. You can't.
Oliver McMahon is on Twitter. I like this question. When it comes to finding replacement opponents in fight week, such as Jan Marsalek, what is the process like? For foreign fighters, is there often a point of contact based in the UK, and is there a deadline for naming an opponent?
So panic is the first thing.
So you get that phone call.
So you got the phone call. Robert Sagbar texted me on the Saturday and said he's hurt his jaw.
A week away.
Now, Florian Marker we've got to match. Kevin's now away on holiday.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting at home thinking, fuck. Because I knew that it was very difficult to get an opponent for this day. There were a couple of UK other opponents that were just not available to fight, but there was only 2 or 3 that would step up and fight him. So now we're in trouble. So what we did is I went Kevin at home.
Kevin's diligent enough that he does it on his holidays,
Yes.
isn't he?
So he went out and we mailed everybody in Europe, every agent. And what Florian didn't want to fight, he doesn't want to fight somebody with 6 wins and 150 losses. He doesn't want that. He wants to fight somebody who's going to come to win. So then Marcelek came up, but obviously cost more money because of his record, kickboxing background. So he came through, and then Kevin said, we got Marcelek, so we said, yeah, we'll have him. He's 3-0, 3 KOs, got tough from a kickboxing background, so never been stopped or dropped, whatever. So we basically got him. But in that week, and I'm telling you this is true, he was the only one that stepped forward. If Marcelek hadn't have been there, we'd have been in real trouble.
There would have been no fight.
There may have been no fight. It was that, sometimes it's that close. You get the one fighter that steps forward. So it was that difficult.
So normally when it comes to matching against foreign opponents,
So you can tell you that,
you have 2 agents.
by the way, so Florian's team were not happy with Robert Sagbar.
Right.
Because they said we should have, with this last week nonsense, if there must have been a problem before. So they get really pissed with people that do this last week dropout, because normally, unless it's something's happened, they got cut or it's real, there's normally a sign and there's a problem. So fighters get really pissed when other fighters do that. They don't really want to give them other opportunities after that.
Which is understandable. You spent X amount on a training camp and putting all the effort in. So normally if you're matching against a foreign fighter, you have 2 agents that you use typically?
One, normally you send it, you've got a list of all the emails from all the foreign agents. So you've got 2 types of ways you can do it actually. Let's rephrase this. You have foreign agents based in the UK, and the 3 major foreign agents are Kevin, Derek Waddell.
As in your Kevin?
Kevin, he's an agent, he contacts all the agents.
Right.
You've got Oscar Mikitas, who has some other different agents aboard he works with, and Derek Waddell, who has a couple of other ones that we might not necessarily have. So when you're in desperate straits, you ask Derek to go, Oscar to go, and Kevin's going. So all 3 went at the same time.
Right.
And the one we got back was the one that was Kevin actually. The other 2 couldn't match him. Oscar and Derek could not match him.
Yeah.
So it was only through Kevin and the contacts that we have that we were able to match him. So, in effect, you have a UK agent dealing with the foreign agent.
Yeah.
That's what happens.
Do you ever get language problems? Do you ever get the issue of... I know they must be dealing with English, British people all the time, so probably... But do you ever get sort of the weight is wrong, or the money isn't what they thought it would be?
Not with us. You can if you deal with some other agents. Some other agents can get it all mixed up. If you imagine on that Saturday, we used Derek Waddell for the Martin Foro opponent.
Oh, yeah.
And Martin Foro, the match was made at 12 stone 2, and this other guy comes in and weighs 11 stone 9, because he says he was told by Derek Waddell that it was 11 stone 9. Derek claims that he told the agent abroad that it was 12 stone 2. The agent and Derek are giving different versions of it all, and Derek's produced messages to the guy. So between them all, that was a problem.
Yeah.
Has Kevin had that? There's never ever been an allegation with us that the weight is different. Sometimes you make an agreement with somebody to turn up at say 11 stone, and they come in at 10 stone 10, which they shouldn't do. They come in too light.
You send them over to the cafe.
Well, you try and do is what Kevin will do is he'll weigh them when they arrive from the plane, and then if they're looking too heavy, stop eating, and if you're looking too light, go and eat them.
I've heard the stories of them using like the luggage weigh-in scales.
Yeah. Exactly. So no, you should check, but I don't think, for example, in Derek's situation, he trusted the foreign agent to do it, and therefore he didn't do a check. But most foreign agents should check.
Yeah. All right. Lead right on Twitter again. Making offers. And my other question is, how much does a boxer's profile or sponsorship appeal influence a promoter's decision to sign a fighter?
Well, that depends. So are we talking about
which level?
Because when a boxer comes to me, I'm only signing management. We're not doing promotional deals. So I can only assume he means from the bigger promoters if you're signing them to a Warren or Hearn or somebody like that. So the question is, how much does his sponsorship appeal? But that wouldn't have a lot of interest to the promoter unless they're taking some of the money.
Right.
So that's not going to be the case. And what was the rest of it?
How much does a boxer's profile or sponsorship appeal influence a promoter's decision to sign a fight?
Profile definitely helps.
I just think it doesn't always work like that, does it? Because I think that Idris Virgo, when he came off of Love Island, granted he wasn't, from what I know, a superstar within Love Island, but he'd just been on national TV and a high percentage of the country were talking about the programme at the time. He comes out and he goes back to being a professional boxer. Now, from that, he hasn't then set the world alight as a professional boxer. He's boxed on the Ultimate Boxer card.
What, he's only had one fight?
Yeah. Like that.
But then
profile,
the question is, why?
Yeah.
The question is, has anybody, the question with that is,
why is it not bigger?
Why is he not bigger now? He's done there. It's too late.
Yeah, I mean the new series.
It's too late. Anybody in Love Island last year's faded now. Very few are going to actually continue to make the revenue that they made.
They had to strike early.
Yeah,
and then
and I don't know what happened in his life or his career. Who knows? But they've missed the boat.
Yeah.
But there was an opportunity there, and I believe that with coming off Love Island, there was an opportunity. There was an opportunity, but it was a small window, and he had the chance. But I don't know why nobody took hold of that opportunity.
Yeah.
But I would say that it's not the be all and end all, because Liam McKenzie, for example, had a very good profile.
Yeah.
But it didn't mean a promoter was going to sign him, because I guess his age and where he was in his lifetime. I mean, we got him one fight on Sky Television.
Kelvin Young.
So he got him a slot on Sky as a sort of, so it helped a little bit. So he got him. But in terms of long-term contracts, David Allen is all profile. That's what's got him, isn't it? He's done a brilliant job on building his profile.
Yes.
But what also helps is ticket sales. If you're bringing money to that promoter, or profile to that promoter will look at that as a plus. If you're bringing immense talent to the promoter, then that's it. But if you're a non-ticket seller with a low profile but highly talented, I'm not saying a promoter won't do it, but you're not exactly bringing everything to the party.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of it. You need to if you have got charisma, profile, and you sell tickets, then that's exactly what they're looking for.
You think of someone like, I don't know his ticket sales at all, but Chris Congo, who, from what I understand, I've only seen him once live personally, but is a phenomenal talent of a fighter.
I'd agree he is, yeah.
But hasn't got that major backing, hasn't got a big profile. As I say, I don't know what his ticket sales are, but you've got to assume they're not huge, or else somebody would have snapped him up by now. But he's got all the ingredients apart from maybe the profile. How do you, it's incredibly hard then, isn't it, to get over that final barrier of getting him the major fights, the big fights, and the financial backing?
Yeah, it's harder, but you can. It is a case of. I had Linus Udoka with Haymaker. I've got Linus now in a mandatory position for the English title. It's only a matter of time for him.
Yeah.
Brad Pauls, who's now going to win something, it's only a matter of time for him. So you get fighters that are going to go in that direction. So it's doable, but just more difficult and requires a bit more planning and skill, perhaps.
Yeah.
And you do need promoters to want to work with these particular fighters as well. So,
all right. Final question from UK Boxing 1. The board keep ordering guys to fight Dion Juma, but nobody will. Could we see a situation where two other guys fight each other in this English/British circular, and part of that deal is they must fight Juma after? How can you enforce must, I suppose?
Well, it can't be. It depends on what's at the end of the line. I mean, the board will have to do something, I would hope, because if this keeps happening, all these guys keep, like Billam Smith now fights Vic Kapoor for the international, one of them sort of city titles. But the bottom line is, you would hope the board will, every time these guys pull out, they will log that these guys have avoided them. So when you become, if this keeps happening, hopefully Dion will get a bigger shot. Happened with Sam Bowen.
Yeah.
Sam Bowen had exactly the same problem Dion had. In the end, the board mandated him for the British title. They got fed up and they said, okay then, we'll put him in a mandatory position. So in the end, I hope that is what the board will do, because at the end of the day, he's willing to fight anybody, anywhere. And what Dion will say is, and this is really important, he gets this, a fight is only worth what somebody's prepared to pay, and a fighter is only worth what somebody's prepared to pay. And you have to accept at certain times in your life you're not going to be worth as much as you will be tomorrow.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's worth taking a lower pay if you believe that that win is going to get you the higher pay. If Isaac Chamberlain was going to fight Dion Juma, he wasn't going to get a big pay for this fight, but he thinks he's going to win. He knows that beating Dion Juma will pretty much mandate him for the British title, right? So sometimes, if you believe in yourself, it's not about boxing politics and bullshit that's written. It's not about that. You believe, if you have, and again we don't know, maybe Matchroom will bid for it, but if you have pissed off your promoter, if you have upset lots of people, if nobody's prepared to give you a deal, it means you have devalued your product and brand. If you have, then you've got to fight for less money to put yourself back into the picture where they're forced to deal with you again and forced to pay you bigger money. But if he does walk from this fight, which he may do, who knows, if he does walk from this fight for whatever reason, whether it's not enough money on the purse bid or whatever else it is, then he has to accept he's devalued his brand even more. So that's down to him. But from my point of view, my only issue is Dion. So with Dion, we are going to keep banging at the door until the board will get fed up with this as well. And in the end, somebody will be like Sambo, and somebody will have to fight him.
Yeah. If you had to give a gut feel percentage chance that in the next 6 months we see Juma versus Chamberlain on any platform,
honestly, 20%.
Right. That's probably why I'd have gone as well.
That's my honest opinion.
Yeah.
I just honestly, it's. I just don't believe.
Which, if there's the hold up there for Juma and he doesn't get in the ring again because of whatever faffing about, and the fight gets bid on and there is a winning purse bid, and then a week later
Chamberlain pulls out.
Yeah, there's a pull out. I just feel for Dion out of that.
He knows, and we are in contact. He knows. It's very annoying because if you're not going to do it, this is the problem. I would ask the board, if Isaac Chamberlain does do this, I would be asking the board to take serious action against him, because you are pulling. This will be the second time in his life he has stalled a boxer's career, and for me, that is unacceptable, totally unacceptable. He shows a disregard for other boxers and their training camps. Because if the purse bid goes out, the rules are you pull out before there's a bid.
Yep.
So he has until Thursday to pull out, but don't go through the process.
Yeah.
Don't go through the process. It's just wrong. It's wrong on so many counts. I'm not interested. If Isaac doesn't want to fight Dion Juma, he hasn't got to try and justify politics. I don't want to fight, move on. And then we'll move on. You don't always have to do a fight that you're asked to do. So if he wants to go and carry on training without fighting, or try and do a deal with another promoter, crack on with it. But if you are going to just spout crap, stall people's careers, then there should be some consequences. And that is as simple as it is. I don't dislike it, the man, but I'm just saying it's wrong. We've had this discussion before.
But the outcome everyone wants to see is that they fight.
Well, Dion will fight.
Yeah.
But I'm sure if he doesn't do the fight, it will be there wasn't enough money, it's political, everybody's against him. Everybody's not against him, it's just rubbish.
Yeah. So when do we find out the outcome?
Thursday afternoon, evening, you will find out who's bid. Who has won the bid, who has put a bid in. I don't know. You don't know who's underbidders. You'll just know who's bid. So there will be a bid. What then happens is contracts are then sent out to the managers of the boxers, and they have 14 days in which to sign the contracts.
Yeah.
You then send the contracts back in, and it's all done. If you do not sign the contract, then the board will take action. But that doesn't help the boxer who is left.
Yeah, who's 2 weeks down the line by that point.
And then the board have to go the next month and make another fight.
Yeah.
And this will mean, if this happens, that will mean Dion's been sitting around now for waiting for this for 6 months.
Yeah.
6 months. So therefore, you would go to the board and say, please help us.
Yeah. All right, that's all the questions. Make sure you subscribed. Do that
Brilliant.
before you leave. And then we'll be around next week.
Perfect.
All right, lovely. Hope you've enjoyed. Subscribe and we'll see you soon.
Cheers.